I still remember that moment as if it were etched into my skin, the sudden chime of an app notification that shattered the ordinary hum of my evening. It was a crisp autumn night when I returned home after an exhausting day at work, the usual routine of dinner and a quick scroll through social media interrupted by a message unlike any other. The screen lit up with a series of carefully worded alerts: luxury outing confirmed, clandestine dinner date booked, and unknown admirer awaits your presence. My heart skipped a beat. I had never been one for surprises, certainly not ones that seemed so deliberately orchestrated and luxurious. Yet in that instant, curiosity overtook caution, and I found myself drawn into a mystery I hadn't known I was desperate to solve. 4 months, I had been living a life balanced on a fragile edge, a respectable career in a bustling corporate firm by day, and an inner world of unfulfilled dreams and secret longings by night. My heart, so often hidden beneath layers of routine and responsibility, had grown restless, yearning for something raw and real. That night, as the notifications flickered across my phone, I felt that long-dormant spark of adventure ignite. The messages were simple, almost clinical in their presentation, yet they hinted at experiences that were anything but ordinary. They spoke of exclusive events at opulent venues, whispered rendezvous in secluded corners of the city, and the enigmatic presence of an unknown admirer whose identity was as much a mystery as the events themselves. I sat down at my small, second-floor apartment table, the glow from my phone illuminating my face in the dim light. My pulse raced as I reread the notifications, trying to decode the meaning behind every carefully chosen word. The first alert read, "Luxury outing confirmed. Your presence is requested at the Astoria Grand Hotel Sky Lounge this Friday at 8 p.m. I knew the Astoria Grand Hotel well, a towering monument of modern luxury in the heart of the city, known for its impeccable service, high-profile clientele, and sweeping views of the skyline. It was a place where people went not only to see and be seen but to escape into a world that shimmered with promises of indulgence. Then came the second message: clandestine dinner date arranged. A private table awaits at La Belle Epoque, tonight at 9:30 p.m. Your unknown admirer sends their regards. My breath caught in my throat. La Belle Epoque was the city's hidden gem, a dining sanctuary that combined an air of nostalgia with cutting-edge culinary artistry. The idea of a secret admirer was at once romantic and terrifying. Who could this person be? And why had they chosen to remain anonymous? The notifications had arrived in a tight cluster, each one designed to pique my interest and pull me further from the confines of my everyday existence. I wondered if they were the result of a sophisticated marketing campaign, a technological glitch, or something else entirely, something intended for me and me alone. I glanced around my modest apartment, filled with everyday objects that were now rendered dull by comparison: the scuffed wooden table, the faded couch, the stack of bills that seemed to symbolize the weight of responsibility. In that moment, these simple things receded into the background, replaced by a vivid, almost surreal promise of luxury, mystery, and perhaps even a taste of forbidden passion. Unable to shake the pull of the unknown, I decided to take a leap of faith. I set aside my hesitation, gathered my courage, and began to prepare for the first outing. I rummaged through my wardrobe, finally settling on a sleek, midnight blue dress that I hadn't worn in ages, a dress that had once symbolized my most daring, confident self. As I applied a touch of makeup and styled my hair with careful precision, I felt a transformation beginning. It was as though the person reflected in the mirror was not the subdued, reserved woman I was accustomed to being, but someone vibrant and alive, a woman ready to embrace the unexpected. That Friday evening, the city was draped in a tapestry of twinkling lights and cool breezes, setting the stage for what felt like a scene from a movie. I arrived at the Astoria Grand Hotel with a mix of trepidation and exhilaration. The entrance was a revolving door of glass and chrome, and as I stepped inside, the grandeur of the lobby struck me like a wave. Polished marble floors, elegant chandeliers, and the soft murmur of sophisticated conversation enveloped me in an atmosphere of refined opulence. I checked in with a polite nod to the doorman and was swiftly escorted to the Sky Lounge, a veritable oasis perched atop the hotel, where panoramic views of the city stretched out before me like an endless canvas of possibility. Inside the lounge, the ambience was intoxicating, a careful interplay of ambient music, hushed laughter, and the clink of fine crystal glasses. I took a seat by the large floor-to-ceiling window, feeling the cool glass against my fingertips as I gazed out at the cityscape. In that moment, I allowed myself to be swept away by the scene, my worries melting into the background as the beauty of the moment took hold. Waiters glided by with silver trays laden with artisanal hors d'oeuvres and exotic cocktails, their presence almost choreographed to the rhythm of the music. Time seemed to lose its meaning as I immersed myself in the luxurious solitude of the Sky Lounge. My mind drifted between the present and the myriad possibilities that the notifications had promised. Every so often, I would glance at my phone, half expecting another message to appear, a confirmation, a clue, a further hint at what was to come. I recalled the words of the second notification, La Belle Époque and the clandestine dinner date with an unknown admirer. The thought of it both thrilled and unsettled me. Who was this admirer? What did they want from me? And most importantly, why had they chosen such a symbolic moment to reveal themselves through a series of cryptic messages? As the evening deepened and the stars began to prick the twilight sky, I reluctantly left the Sky Lounge and made my way to La Belle Époque. The journey there was a solitary one, my thoughts a tangled web of anticipation and anxiety. The streets were quieter now, the city's noise giving way to the soft whisper of night. I arrived at the restaurant, a charming establishment tucked away in a narrow cobblestone lane, a hidden treasure that few outsiders ever discovered. Its entrance was marked only by a modest, hand-painted sign and the faint glow of vintage lanterns that beckoned passers-by into its embrace. Inside La Belle Époque, the atmosphere was intimate and electric, a stark contrast to the grandeur of the hotel lounge. The restaurant exuded a timeless charm, with dark wood paneling, plush seating, and delicate touches of Art Nouveau decorating the walls. Soft classical music played in the background, mingling with the murmurs of discreet conversation. I was led to a secluded table near a window, its view of the rain-kissed street adding an element of melancholic beauty to the setting. The table was set with exquisite china and silverware, a quiet testament to the restaurant's dedication to creating an experience that transcended the ordinary. I sat alone for a few moments, my eyes scanning the room in search of any sign of my unknown admirer. I wondered if they would approach me directly or if a note or token of their presence would be left in anticipation. The waiter arrived with a gentle smile and a glass of champagne, and as he poured the bubbly into my glass, I noticed a small envelope resting atop the folded napkin. My heart thumped in my chest as I reached for it, my hands trembling ever so slightly. The envelope was cream-colored and sealed with a wax stamp bearing a delicate emblem, a rose intertwined with an intricate pattern that I couldn't immediately decipher. With a mix of excitement and apprehension, I opened the envelope and unfolded the note inside. The handwriting was elegant, the ink flowing with an artistry that suggested careful thought and emotion. It read, "Tonight, beneath the glow of hidden stars, let our secrets intertwine. Meet me at the garden terrace at 10:15. There was no signature beyond the solitary initial A, and yet, it was enough. The message was succinct, almost poetic, and it carried the unmistakable promise of a clandestine encounter that would defy the monotony of everyday life. I felt a shiver of anticipation run through me as I read it over and over, each time unlocking a new layer of possibility and desire. After a leisurely dinner that seemed to stretch into an indulgent dream, I excused myself from the table with a courteous smile to the waiter. My mind raced as I made my way out of La Belle Époque, my destination now the garden terrace indicated in the note. The night air was cool and refreshing, carrying with it the mingled sense of damp earth, blooming flowers, and distant rain. I navigated through a series of narrow passageways and hidden courtyards until I found the terrace, a secluded oasis nestled behind the restaurant, illuminated by the soft, ethereal glow of lanterns and the gentle shimmer of fairy lights. There, amidst the quiet murmur of nocturnal nature and the rustle of leaves in the breeze, I saw him. Standing at the far end of the terrace was a man whose presence radiated both mystery and undeniable charm. He was dressed in a tailored black suit that contrasted sharply with the casual elegance of the garden, his eyes fixed on me with an intensity that made my heart race. For a moment, time seemed to slow as our gazes locked, the unspoken connection between us electrifying the space. It was as though the universe had conspired to bring two solitary souls together in that hidden corner of the night. "I'm glad you came," he said softly, his voice a soothing baritone that resonated with sincerity and warmth. "I've been hoping to meet you for quite some time." His words sent a ripple of emotions through me, curiosity, excitement, and an inexplicable sense of recognition that I couldn't quite place. I introduced myself hesitantly, my voice betraying the nervous energy that had taken hold. We began to talk, first in measured, polite exchanges about the beauty of the night, the allure of secret places, and the magic of unplanned encounters. But as minutes turned into an hour, our conversation deepened. He spoke of his life with a candor that was both refreshing and disarming, sharing stories of hidden passions and dreams that had long been suppressed by the rigid expectations of his public persona. I listened intently, my earlier reservations dissolving with every heartfelt word he spoke. It was as though I was seeing through the carefully constructed walls of my own existence, glimpsing a part of myself that I had long kept hidden. The man, who introduced himself only as A, seemed to understand that unspoken language of longing, the silent desires that we all carried like secret treasures. We wandered through the terrace, finding a quiet bench beneath a sprawling oak tree where we continued our conversation. The gentle rustle of the leaves and the soft murmur of the city in the distance created a backdrop that felt almost otherworldly, a cocoon of intimacy where only the truth mattered. In that moment, the world outside ceased to exist. I felt as though I was suspended in a delicate balance between the known and the unknown, a threshold where the ordinary dissolved into the extraordinary. He told me about his own dual life, about the secret luxury outings and discreet escapades that had become his escape from a world that demanded conformity. His words resonated with me deeply, echoing my own hidden experiences and the silent rebellion that had driven me to seek refuge in clandestine moments of beauty and authenticity. Yet, amid the unfolding intimacy, there lingered a sense of caution, a reminder that even the most enchanting secrets could bear unforeseen consequences. I recalled the cautionary tales of exposure and the vulnerability that came with sharing one's hidden self. But that night, under the vast, star-studded sky, I found that fear melting away in the warmth of genuine connection. The unknown admirer, A, was not a faceless enigma but a kindred spirit who, like me, had chosen to live on the edge of possibility and secrecy. In his presence, I discovered the exhilarating freedom of embracing the unknown, of allowing a single moment to shatter the confines of everyday routine and reveal the raw, unfiltered beauty of our innermost desires. As the night wore on, we eventually parted ways with promises to meet again, promises that felt both fragile and filled with potential. I returned to my apartment in a state of reflective elation, my mind alive with the echoes of every whispered word and every shared glance. I knew that my life had irrevocably shifted on that fateful night, that the series of app notifications had not only revealed secret luxury outings and clandestine dinner dates but had also opened a doorway to a deeper, more authentic self. The experience left me both exhilarated and introspective, with a newfound appreciation for the unpredictable beauty of vulnerability. In the days that followed, I found myself replaying every moment of that evening in my mind, the lush ambience of the Astoria Grand Hotel, the nostalgic charm of La Belle Époque, and the transformative encounter on the hidden terrace. I began to document my thoughts in a fresh journal, each entry a raw and unfiltered reflection on the delicate interplay between risk, desire, and the pursuit of genuine connection. I wondered what the future held for me and for A, whether these secret outings were destined to remain fleeting moments of enchantment or to evolve into something that would reshape my entire identity. I also found myself navigating a series of unexpected changes. The notifications on my phone did not cease, rather, they seemed to multiply, each one a carefully curated invitation to experiences that challenged my sense of self. One alert promised an exclusive evening at a private art gallery, where whispered critiques of modernity were interwoven with a sumptuous dinner prepared by a renowned chef. Another message hinted at a rooftop soirée at a newly opened luxury club, an event where anonymity was celebrated and every guest was a mystery waiting to be unraveled. Each invitation carried with it the dual promise of indulgence and transformation, a chance to step beyond the constraints of the everyday and into a world where secrets were currency and vulnerability was the key to unlocking true freedom. In the wake of these invitations, I began to feel an inner tension, a delicate oscillation between exhilaration and apprehension. I was seduced by the allure of these clandestine outings, yet I also recognized the inherent danger in living too openly on the edge of societal norms. The line between liberation and recklessness was thin, and I knew that with every secret rendezvous, I was placing a piece of my soul on the table. But as I pored over my journal entries, revisiting the vivid recollections of that transformative terrace meeting, I realized that the risks were worth the reward. The experience was not merely about indulgence, it was about rediscovering parts of myself that had long been dormant, about allowing the light of authenticity to shine through even in the darkest of nights. That week, as the city thrummed with life and the rhythm of secret gatherings began to pulse beneath its surface, I resolved to embrace this uncharted journey with both passion and prudence. I took care to safeguard the new pieces of my identity that were emerging, both in the quiet solitude of my apartment and in the fleeting moments of shared intimacy with a mysterious admirer. I reconfigured my routines, adjusting my social calendar and refining the digital settings on my phone so that these carefully orchestrated invitations would continue to come to me without drawing unwanted attention. I also reached out to a trusted friend, someone who had always known the complexities of my inner life, to share my newfound experiences and to seek counsel when the balance between excitement and fear threatened to tip. In the end, that night, the one when app notifications revealed secret luxury outings and clandestine dinner dates with an unknown admirer, became a pivotal chapter in the story of my life. It marked the moment when I chose to confront my hidden longings, to risk exposure in the pursuit of a truth that was as tantalizing as it was terrifying. It was a reminder that life, in all its splendor and complexity, is often found in the quiet spaces between the expected and the extraordinary. As I closed my journal that night, I felt a deep sense of gratitude for the vulnerability that had led me to this crossroads, a crossroads where every secret, every whispered invitation, was a stepping stone toward a future that was mine to define. I now stand on the threshold of a new beginning, with the echoes of that first night reverberating through every fiber of my being. The unknown admirer, has become a symbol of both mystery and hope, a reminder that sometimes, the most profound connections are forged not in the glare of public scrutiny, but in the soft, unguarded moments when two souls dare to reveal their true selves. And so, with my heart open and my spirit emboldened by the taste of possibility, I step forward into this unfolding narrative, ready to explore the hidden corridors of desire, luxury, and clandestine connection that have become the essence of my secret life. The days that followed that extraordinary night felt like stepping into a parallel reality, a realm where every moment shimmered with possibility and every shadow concealed a secret waiting to be unveiled. I found myself caught in an exhilarating whirlwind of anticipation and introspection, each new app notification a delicate whisper urging me to venture further down this uncharted path. The unknown admirer, whose initial letter A had ignited my curiosity, was now emerging as an elusive guide into a labyrinth of luxury outings and covert rendezvous that challenged everything I had known about my own desires. One crisp evening, as the city was bathed in the soft glow of twilight and the hum of life grew steadily louder, my phone vibrated with a new alert. It read simply, "Your exclusive invitation awaits at the Marquis Yacht Club, 7 p.m. Discover what lies beyond the horizon." The words stirred something deep within me, a mixture of apprehension and longing. The Marquis Yacht Club was legendary for hosting events that straddled the boundary between refined elegance and raw, unfettered indulgence. A private yacht party, whispered about among those who dared to dream of a life beyond the mundane, promised a night of opulence and mystery on the water. I spent the afternoon in a daze, my mind oscillating between excitement and the lingering doubts of what risks such an outing might bring. Every instinct in me screamed caution, yet a stronger part of my soul craved the adventure. As I prepared for the event, I chose an outfit that balanced sophistication with a hint of daring, a tailored black blazer over a silken burgundy blouse, paired with slim trousers that lent me an air of both confidence and vulnerability. In the mirror, I saw not the familiar face of a reserved professional, but someone reborn in anticipation of the unknown, someone ready to claim every hidden corner of her existence. Arriving at the Marquis Yacht Club felt like stepping into another world entirely. The venue was tucked away in a secluded marina, its entrance marked by discreet, artfully designed signage that hinted at exclusivity without boasting it. As I walked along the polished wooden pier, the soft clatter of footsteps and hushed voices created a quiet symphony that only heightened my awareness. At the gangway, I was greeted by a courteous attendant whose eyes held an understanding that went beyond mere politeness. A sleek, black yacht awaited, its deck adorned with minimalistic yet striking decor, candles flickering in glass holders, plush seating arranged in intimate clusters, and an ambient light that rendered every detail with a dreamlike softness. Once aboard, I was escorted to a private lounge on the upper deck, where panoramic views of the glittering city skyline and the endless, dark waters stretched out before me. The atmosphere was intoxicating, a seamless blend of refined luxury and the thrill of being adrift in a world that felt simultaneously infinite and intimately close. Soft strains of jazz mingled with the gentle lapping of water against the hull, and I felt the tension in my shoulders slowly give way to a liberating sense of release. I found a quiet corner by a large window, where I allowed myself to simply absorb the beauty of the moment, each breath a reminder of the exquisite contrast between the structured life I had always known and the wild, uncharted realm of passion that beckoned. It wasn't long before I sensed I was not alone in my contemplation. A figure emerged from the dim light, a man with an air of quiet authority, his presence understated yet magnetic. His eyes, dark and penetrating, met mine for a fraction of a second before he offered a polite nod and moved to join a group engaged in animated conversation. I couldn't shake the feeling that his arrival was no coincidence, that fate was beginning to weave our stories together. Over the course of the evening, subtle glances and brief exchanges led me to wonder if he, too, had been touched by the mystery of that unknown admirer's invitation. Yet his name, when finally revealed in a murmured introduction, was Marcus, a name that carried with it the weight of history and hidden depths. As we spoke quietly amidst the soft clinking of champagne flutes and murmured laughter, I sensed that Marcus had his own story of clandestine longing, a narrative woven with threads of regret and redemption that resonated with my own struggles. Our conversation meandered from innocuous pleasantries about the beauty of the night to the more profound and personal tales of secret desires and concealed truths. Marcus admitted that he had once lived a life governed by the strict expectations of his lineage, a life that left him feeling like an actor reciting lines written by someone else. His journey, he confided, had been one of gradual awakening, an evolution spurred by daring escapes and forbidden encounters that revealed to him the vibrant tapestry of human emotion. As he spoke, I found myself opening up in ways I hadn't dared in years, sharing fragments of a life that had always been divided between the roles I was expected to play and the self I yearned to be. It was as if the conversation had unlocked a hidden door within me, allowing the floodgates of vulnerability to swing wide open. After the yacht party, the experience lingered in my thoughts like a sweet aftertaste. Yet even as I returned to the safety of my apartment, the messages on my phone continued to deliver invitations that defied predictability. The following week, an alert arrived at an unexpected hour, a call to attend a private preview at an exclusive art gallery in a renovated industrial loft. The invitation hinted at a secret exhibition titled Reflections of the Unseen, promising a night where art, emotion, and the human spirit converged in a display of raw, unapologetic beauty. The gallery was said to be curated by an enigmatic figure known only as Celeste, whose vision was reputed to capture the essence of those living on the fringes of society. In preparation for this next chapter, I embarked on a period of introspection, scribbling notes in a battered journal that had become the repository of my hidden truths. I pored over every invitation, every carefully constructed message that hinted at the possibility of discovering something new about myself. The anonymity of these experiences both exhilarated and unnerved me. I found myself questioning the nature of secrecy and the power it held, how living in the liminal space between what is seen and what is concealed could liberate the soul, even as it threatened to shatter the boundaries that defined me. On the night of the gallery preview, I arrived at the location with a mix of cautious excitement and trepidation. The loft was located in an old warehouse district, its exterior unremarkable and easily overlooked by the casual observer. However, as I stepped inside, I was immediately enveloped by an atmosphere that was electric with creative energy. The space had been transformed with dramatic lighting, bold installations, and abstract sculptures that seemed to capture the turbulent dance of human emotion. Soft whispers filled the air, and every corner of the loft pulsed with the intensity of unspoken confessions. I wandered through the gallery, my eyes drinking in the raw beauty of the artworks, each piece a visceral expression of pain, joy, love, and the bittersweet melancholy of living authentically. In one installation, a series of mirrors reflected not just the physical form but, it seemed, the inner landscapes of those who gazed into them. I lingered in front of a particularly striking painting that depicted a lone figure standing at the edge of a vast, stormy sea, a metaphor, perhaps, for the precarious balance between vulnerability and strength. As I absorbed the layered symbolism, I felt a sudden presence beside me. I turned to see a woman with eyes that sparkled with empathy and a knowing smile that suggested she, too, had traversed the narrow line between concealment and revelation. Her name was Celeste, the curator of the exhibition and the living embodiment of the art that surrounded us. In a voice as soft as the brushstrokes on a canvas, she explained that the exhibit was not merely a showcase of art, but a celebration of the hidden parts of ourselves, the passions, the dreams, and the scars that make us human. She spoke of her own journey from a life of quiet conformity to one of audacious self-expression, and as she did, I felt a profound connection to the path she described. In her words, I recognized the echoes of my own internal battles, the struggle to reconcile the desire for privacy with the longing to be seen for who I truly was. Celeste's presence transformed the evening. She invited me to a secluded corner of the gallery, where a private conversation unfolded under the soft glow of a single spotlight. With gentle earnestness, she asked me about my motivations for embracing these secret outings and what I hoped to find in the hidden corridors of my life. I hesitated only for a moment before unburdening my soul, telling her about the app notifications, the luxurious yacht party, the clandestine dinner, and the way these experiences had shattered the walls I had built around my heart. As I spoke, I felt the weight of years of repression lift, replaced by a cathartic relief that came from acknowledging the dual nature of my existence. Celeste listened intently, her eyes filled with understanding. "Every invitation you receive," she murmured, "is an opportunity to peel back another layer of who you are. It's not just about the luxury or the mystery, it's about rediscovering the parts of yourself that were always meant to shine, even in the darkest moments." Her words resonated deeply, stirring a sense of hope that mingled with the lingering fear of being exposed. I left the gallery that night with a new sense of purpose, a determination to embrace my secret life not as a series of isolated escapades, but as a coherent narrative that could eventually lead me to a place of complete self-acceptance. In the weeks that followed, my world became a mosaic of interwoven experiences. The app continued to send notifications that led me to events that defied simple categorization. There were evenings spent at underground jazz clubs where the music flowed like liquid emotion, and private garden parties in secluded estates where conversations took on the intimacy of whispered confessions. With each outing, I began to notice subtle shifts within myself. The fear that had once gripped me at the thought of exposure began to wane, replaced by a quiet courage that allowed me to reveal more of my true self to those who shared my journey. One particularly memorable night took me to a rooftop lounge perched atop an old, repurposed factory, a venue that combined urban grit with the ethereal beauty of an elevated view. The air was crisp, the skyline a shimmering tapestry of light and shadow, and as I mingled with the eclectic crowd of artists, thinkers, and free spirits, I felt a sense of liberation that transcended the ordinary. Amid the throng, I encountered an old acquaintance from my past, Daniel, a man I had once known in a life that seemed so distant now. His presence stirred a mixture of nostalgia and bittersweet regret, and over glasses of wine, we spoke of the divergent paths our lives had taken. Daniel, too, had been on a journey of transformation, a quest to reconcile the conflicting aspects of his identity. His story was one of lost love and rediscovered passion, and as he recounted the challenges he had faced, I found a mirror for my own struggles. We exchanged stories of clandestine meetings, secret escapes, and the constant battle against the forces of conformity. In that exchange, I felt an unspoken solidarity, a recognition that our scars, though different in origin, were the marks of lives lived with intensity and courage. Yet, even as I celebrated these moments of connection and revelation, there remained an undercurrent of tension, a persistent reminder that the world I was now inhabiting was as unpredictable as it was alluring. I began to receive notifications that hinted at encounters more ambiguous and perilous than those I had experienced before. One evening, an alert arrived that mentioned an exclusive masquerade ball at a historic mansion on the outskirts of the city. The invitation was shrouded in mystery, a night of anonymity and indulgence where guests were encouraged to don elaborate masks and revel in the freedom of concealed identities. The idea of surrendering to such complete obscurity both thrilled and terrified me, for it meant fully embracing the art of concealment even as I strove to reveal my innermost self. After much internal deliberation, I decided to attend the masquerade ball, drawn by the promise of an experience that transcended everyday expectations. On the night of the event, I donned a delicate lace mask that covered only half of my face, allowing my eyes to sparkle with anticipation while leaving a hint of mystery intact. The mansion itself was a vision from another era, a sprawling estate with grand, arched windows, overgrown gardens, and a sense of faded opulence that seemed to whisper forgotten secrets. As I stepped through the ornate doors, I was greeted by a sea of masked faces, each person a living enigma, their identities hidden behind intricate designs and carefully crafted veneers. The ball was a sensory feast, a blend of seductive music, the rustle of sumptuous fabrics, and murmurs that drifted through the gilded halls like fragments of a long-lost conversation. I wandered from room to room, each one offering a different tableau of human emotion, laughter mingling with tears, passion intermingling with restraint, and the palpable tension of lives that had long been suppressed finally finding an outlet. In one secluded alcove, I found myself face to face with a woman whose mask was adorned with feathers and gold, her eyes brimming with an intensity that belied the playful artistry of her disguise. She leaned in close and whispered, "Sometimes, the truest revelation comes from embracing the mystery of who we are, even when we hide behind masks." Her words, delivered with a gentle fervor, resonated with me on a level that transcended the superficiality of the masquerade. It was as if, in that brief exchange, I was granted permission to shed not only the mask but also the layers of pretense that had long weighed me down. As the night unfolded, I found myself drawn into a series of intimate encounters, each one a fleeting but profound glimpse into the hearts of those who, like me, were navigating the delicate interplay between secrecy and revelation. There were whispered conversations in shadowed corridors, secret smiles exchanged over candlelit tables, and moments of raw vulnerability that cut through the veneer of societal expectations. In the midst of these encounters, I began to piece together a larger narrative, one that suggested that the unknown admirer, might be intricately connected not only to my own journey but to a broader tapestry of lives marked by the desire to break free from convention. The masquerade ball, with all its layers of symbolism and seductive anonymity, became a turning point. That night, I realized that the allure of these secret luxury outings was not merely about indulgence or escape, it was a quest for authenticity, a journey toward reclaiming parts of myself that had been buried beneath the weight of expectations. The events I experienced were like brushstrokes on a vast canvas, a canvas that captured the vibrant spectrum of human emotion, from the deepest sorrow to the most ecstatic joy. In the days that followed, I began to see the threads of these experiences interweaving in unexpected ways. I found a renewed sense of purpose in my art, in the way I documented every encounter and every emotion in my journal. The mysterious notifications had become more than invitations, they were markers along the path of a transformative journey, a journey that was rewriting my understanding of love, identity, and the courage it takes to be truly alive. I began to experiment with new forms of self-expression. I attended intimate gatherings of poets and musicians who, like me, were unafraid to explore the uncharted territories of the heart. I allowed my words to spill onto paper without filter, composing poems that captured the bittersweet essence of my clandestine escapades and the fragile beauty of vulnerability. With every verse, I reclaimed a piece of the self that had long been hidden behind a carefully constructed facade. The community that emerged around me was diverse, a mosaic of souls each bearing the marks of their own secret lives. In our shared experiences, we found validation, courage, and a collective promise to honor the truths that lay beneath the surface of everyday existence. There were moments, too, when the tension of living such a dual life began to weigh on me. I would catch a glimpse of my reflection in a store window or a car mirror, and for a fleeting second, the fear of exposure would surge, a reminder that every secret, no matter how carefully guarded, carried the risk of being unraveled. In those moments, I would retreat into solitude, seeking solace in the quiet corners of my apartment or in the embrace of familiar places where I felt safe. Yet even in solitude, the lessons of my journey echoed persistently. That vulnerability, though frightening, was the gateway to a richer, more authentic life. A turning point came one rainy afternoon when I received another notification, a direct message that read, "Meet me at the Crescent Park Pavilion at 4:30 p.m. Let us share our truths." This invitation felt more personal, more urgent than the previous ones. The Crescent Park Pavilion was an old, rustic structure nestled among weeping willows and gently rippling water, a place where the barrier between nature and human emotion seemed to dissolve. I arrived to find the pavilion nearly empty, save for a single figure waiting beneath a canopy of intertwined branches. It was or at least, someone who claimed to be him. He stood in the soft rain, his eyes glistening with sincerity as he welcomed me with a quiet smile that carried the weight of countless unspoken confessions. In that intimate setting, we spoke at length about our pasts, our hidden dreams, and the scars we bore from a lifetime of compartmentalized existence. He revealed fragments of his own story, tales of broken promises, forbidden loves, and moments when the world had seemed unbearably cold. Yet, interlaced with those darker recollections was an unwavering hope, a belief that every act of vulnerability was a step toward healing. As the rain tapered off and the sky cleared, I felt a profound connection solidify between us, a bond forged not in the pursuit of secrecy, but in the honest exchange of our innermost selves. That meeting was both cathartic and transformative. It crystallized for me the realization that these luxury outings and clandestine encounters were merely the surface of a deeper, more resonant truth, that our lives, with all their contradictions and hidden longings, were masterpieces in progress, each moment a brushstroke that contributed to the grand narrative of who we were meant to be. In sharing our truths, we found that the risk of exposure was not a threat, but a necessary sacrifice for the liberation of our true identities. As I look back on those tumultuous weeks, the intoxicating yacht party, the intimate gallery soirée, the seductive masquerade ball, and the vulnerable meeting at the Crescent Park Pavilion, I understand that each experience was a vital piece of my journey toward wholeness. The app notifications that had first beckoned me into this secret world had evolved into a symphony of experiences that taught me the power of authenticity, the beauty of vulnerability, and the transformative nature of genuine connection. Now, as I sit in the soft light of an early morning, my journal open before me and the gentle hum of the waking city in the background, I feel a profound gratitude for every twist and turn that has led me to this place of clarity. I know that the journey is far from over, that there will be more invitations, more hidden corridors to explore, and perhaps even more risks to take. Yet, with every step, I have learned that embracing both the allure of secrecy and the courage to reveal my truth is the only way to live a life that is truly my own. In the coming days, I intend to continue documenting this journey, not just as a record of my secret luxury outings and clandestine dinner dates, but as an evolving chronicle of transformation, resilience, and the pursuit of a love that transcends superficial boundaries. Every notification, every whispered invitation, is a reminder that the most beautiful parts of life are often hidden in plain sight, waiting for us to dare to look deeper. As I close my journal for the night, the memories of these recent encounters linger like the soft glow of embers, a promise that no matter how elusive the unknown may seem, there is always a path to the heart of our truest selves. And so, with a spirit emboldened by both passion and purpose, I prepare to step forward into the next chapter of this unpredictable, magnificent adventure, where every secret unveiled is a testament to the power of living authentically. The weeks following my intimate meeting at the Crescent Park Pavilion marked a decisive turning point, a slow, unfolding metamorphosis that wove together all the fragments of my secret life into a tapestry I could finally claim as my own. I had always believed that the thrill of anonymity and the intoxication of clandestine luxury outings were escapes from the rigidity of daily routine, but now I understood that they were, in fact, invitations to rediscover parts of myself long hidden beneath layers of expectation and self-doubt. It began with a series of quiet mornings. I found myself waking up not with the dread of exposure but with an eagerness to document the emotions that still vibrated in the spaces between night and day. My journal, once a repository for furtive adventures and impulsive secrets, had become a trusted confidant. I began to write with a new clarity, a measured honesty that detailed not only the high-octane experiences of yacht parties, masquerade balls, and art gallery soirees, but also the silent moments of introspection that followed each event. One early morning, as pale sunlight filtered through my curtains and the city's hum crept in through the open window, I read over my entries from the past several weeks. I recalled the exhilaration of the first message from A, the shiver of anticipation as I stepped onto the yacht at the Marquis Yacht Club, the soft murmur of shared secrets in the hushed intimacy of the Crescent Park Pavilion, and the layered conversations at Celeste's art gallery that had so vividly captured the spectrum of human vulnerability. In each recollection, I sensed a subtle shift, a gradual erosion of the fear that once had tethered me to a life of half-lives and unfulfilled dreams. That morning, I decided it was time to meet with Marcus and the enigmatic E one final time, not as a collection of fragmented encounters, but as a step toward a future where my true self could exist both in the light and in the shadows. I arranged to meet Marcus at a quiet, sunlit cafe nestled on a tree-lined street. The cafe was a modest haven away from the relentless pace of the city, a place where old jazz records spun softly in the background and the aroma of freshly ground coffee mingled with the scent of baked bread. Marcus was already there when I arrived, seated by a window that overlooked a small park. His eyes, thoughtful and gentle, lit up as he recognized me. Over steaming cups of coffee, we spoke candidly about the journey we had both embarked on. Marcus revealed that his own path to embracing vulnerability had been riddled with missteps and heartbreak, yet each painful experience had eventually led him to the realization that true strength lies in the willingness to be seen, in all our raw, imperfect beauty. In return, I recounted the cascade of events that had transformed my life, from the surreal allure of app notifications to the sensory overload of secret luxury outings, and ultimately, to the poignant, quiet moments that had forced me to confront the duality of my existence. Our conversation drifted effortlessly from memories of the past to hopes for the future. Marcus encouraged me to integrate these two halves, the woman who dazzled in the clandestine elegance of exclusive venues and the person who longed for the authenticity of genuine connection. "What you've experienced isn't something to hide away," he said softly, stirring his coffee. "It's part of who you are. Those experiences have given you the courage to feel, to live, to be unapologetically you. Don't let the fear of exposure steal that from you." That day, as Marcus and I parted with promises to continue supporting each other in our respective quests for authenticity, I felt a budding sense of resolve. I began to envisage a future where the thrill of secret outings could coexist with a life lived in the open, a future where I could share my story with those who truly cared, without the suffocating fear of judgment. It was a daring vision, one that would require me to slowly dismantle the walls of secrecy I had built over years of self-protection. In the following days, I took deliberate steps to fuse the disparate elements of my existence. I started by inviting a small circle of trusted friends to a private gathering at my apartment, an intimate soiree where we would share stories, art, and the moments that had defined our inner lives. As the evening unfolded, my living room transformed into a canvas of collective vulnerability. Soft music played in the background, and over shared glasses of wine and quiet laughter, each of us recounted tales of secret aspirations, hidden heartbreaks, and the courage it took to break free from the roles we were expected to play. During the gathering, I displayed a series of photographs I had taken over the past months, snapshots that captured the ethereal beauty of yacht parties, the poetic ambience of art galleries, and even candid portraits from that fateful masquerade ball. Each image was accompanied by a brief note, an intimate caption that revealed not only the surface beauty of the moment but also the emotional resonance behind it. As I spoke about the experiences that had once seemed like isolated escapades, I found that my words resonated with the others. They shared their own struggles with the constraints of societal expectations and celebrated the liberation that came from embracing the parts of themselves that they had long kept hidden. In that room, a vibrant tapestry of vulnerability was woven, one that celebrated every facet of our complex identities. Yet, amidst this collective healing, there remained the ever-present enigma of A. Though we had encountered him in various contexts, a fleeting glance at a rooftop lounge, a whispered conversation in the secluded corners of a masquerade ball, I had yet to know his true identity. His presence had always been shrouded in mystery, his allure built on the promise of the unknown. As I mulled over this mystery in the quiet of the night, I came to a realization. Perhaps A was not a single person, but rather a symbol, a representation of all those hidden aspects of ourselves that dare to defy the monotony of expectation. In my own journey, A had come to embody the spark of rebellion against a world that demanded conformity, the secret invitation to live authentically even when it meant risking everything. Compelled by this newfound insight, I decided to write a series of essays that chronicled the evolution of my secret life. I wrote about the initial shock of those app notifications, the heady rush of secret luxury outings, the bittersweet blend of fear and ecstasy that marked every clandestine dinner, and the tender moments of connection that had gradually transformed me. Each essay was a mirror held up to a part of myself I had once been too afraid to face, a part that yearned for connection, for recognition, for a love that transcended the superficial boundaries imposed by society. I shared these essays with a close circle of friends and, with trembling courage, posted them anonymously on an online platform dedicated to personal storytelling. The response was overwhelming: messages of support, reflections of similar experiences, and expressions of gratitude from strangers who found solace in the honesty of my words. In the act of sharing, I discovered that the process of revealing my truth was not an act of recklessness, but one of profound liberation. The days turned into months, and slowly the tapestry of my secret life began to expand in ways I had never anticipated. I continued to receive notifications, each one an invitation to another experience, another chapter in the ongoing narrative of transformation. One evening, an alert arrived that read, "A new beginning awaits at the Lunar Solstice Festival. Join us at midnight under the full moon." The Lunar Solstice Festival was a celebrated celebration of art, music, and the mystique of the natural world, a perfect culmination of my journey toward integrating the hidden with the illuminated. I accepted the invitation with a heart full of hope and a mind open to the endless possibilities that lay ahead. On the night of the festival, the city pulsed with an almost tangible energy. Streets were adorned with vibrant murals, music spilled from every corner, and the air was perfumed with the scent of night-blooming flowers. I navigated through a throng of eclectic souls, each one radiating the kind of uninhibited joy that comes from embracing life in its rawest form. When I finally reached the festival grounds, a sprawling open park bathed in the silver light of a full moon, I felt as though I had stepped into a dream. Lanterns floated gently in the night sky, and every corner of the park echoed with the rhythm of drums, the strum of guitars, and the laughter of people unafraid to live their truths. At the heart of the festival, near a circle of towering ancient trees, I found myself drawn into a communal circle where strangers shared their stories and songs. In that space, with the full moon as our silent witness, I spoke of my journey, the secret luxury outings, the clandestine dinner dates, the transformative encounters, and the ongoing quest for authenticity. I spoke not with the detached coolness of someone recounting a series of escapades, but with the raw, tremulous voice of a person who had bared her soul. My words, filled with both the pain of past regrets and the joy of newfound freedom, resonated with those gathered around me. I saw tears glisten in the eyes of some listeners, while others smiled with the quiet understanding of shared struggle. In that moment, I realized that our collective vulnerability was not something to be hidden or feared, but a bridge that connected us across our individual experiences. As the festival reached its crescendo, I caught sight of a familiar figure among the throng, a man whose presence had been a recurring enigma throughout my journey. There, amidst the swirling lights and vibrant music, stood A. He was unmasked that night, his eyes reflecting a depth of emotion that rendered all previous mysteries obsolete. In his gaze, I saw the recognition of a kindred spirit, a soul who, like me, had traversed the labyrinth of secrets and emerged with a deeper understanding of what it meant to live authentically. We exchanged a look that spoke volumes, a silent acknowledgement of the trials, the triumphs, and the quiet revolutions that had defined our paths. It was a moment of catharsis, one where the boundaries between admirer and beloved, secret and revealed, dissolved into the vast expanse of shared humanity. In the days that followed the Lunar Solstice Festival, I found that my life had irrevocably changed. The once fragmented chapters of clandestine outings and secret dates had coalesced into a narrative of resilience, transformation, and hope. I had learned that the pursuit of authenticity was not a linear journey but a series of unpredictable, sometimes painful, yet ultimately liberating experiences. Every app notification, every whispered invitation, had served as a stepping stone toward a fuller understanding of who I was and what I had to offer the world. With time, I embraced the idea that vulnerability was not a liability but the very foundation upon which true connection is built. I continued to share my essays, my art, and even my secret photographs with those who sought to understand the raw beauty of living without pretense. I began to integrate my dual existence, allowing the sparkle of clandestine luxury to coexist with the quiet dignity of a life lived openly and honestly. Friends, both old and new, marveled at the transformation I had undergone, and I found solace in the collective strength of a community that celebrated every facet of our multifaceted selves. Now, as I sit in my favorite corner of a sunlit park, pen in hand and journal open on my lap, I reflect on the journey that began with a series of app notifications, messages that revealed secret luxury outings and clandestine dinner dates with an unknown admirer. I have come to see those notifications not as mere prompts for escapades but as invitations to a deeper exploration of my own soul. They led me to encounters that were as transformative as they were transient, to relationships that challenged the boundaries of convention, and ultimately, to a profound realization that to truly live is to embrace every part of oneself, whether bathed in the harsh light of day or nurtured in the soft glow of hidden moments. As the breeze whispers through the trees and the park fills with the sound of distant laughter, I am filled with a quiet gratitude for the risks I took, the secrets I shared, and the beauty that unfolded as I stepped into the unknown. The mystery of A now stands as a symbol, a reminder that within every hidden corner of our lives lies the potential for transformation and that sometimes, the courage to reveal our truth is the greatest act of love we can offer ourselves. In this new chapter, I am no longer defined by the fear of exposure or the thrill of the secret. I am defined by the intricate tapestry of experiences that have taught me to live with passion, authenticity, and a heart unafraid to feel deeply. The journey continues, as every whispered invitation, every chance encounter, every luminous moment beneath the full moon, is a testament to the endless possibilities of a life lived in pursuit of truth. And with that understanding, I step forward, ready to embrace the next adventure, to celebrate both the light and the shadow, and to forever cherish the exquisite, unpredictable beauty of being truly, unapologetically alive.